Back to another Griffin podcast with your host. I'm fucking around. But today I'm gonna be talking a little bit about on the college football playoffs and my opinion on who I think may win or who may lose in their games. Um, the first one that I see is Clemson versus Texas. All I've been seeing recently is how Quinn Ewers and K. Klubnik played in a state championship a couple years ago for the state of Texas for their high school championship. And Quinn Ewers got absolutely harassed by K. Klubnik and his team and his defense. I mean, this is college, but I mean, I have Quinn Ewers in Texas going past Clemson by a mile. Clemson, they played pretty decent this year, but I just don't feel like Dabo Swinney's going to clutch this up for Clemson at all. I mean, at the same time, you never know. Texas only lost to one team this year, and that's Georgia twice. One in I think the regular season, and then one in the SEC championship. The first time it looked like it was going to be bad, but the second time they played, it was a really close one. Went into overtime, and Georgia won in Georgia won at halftime or won in overtime. And then you got Tennessee versus Ohio State. That's going to be a decent match. I mean, I think that's going to be a very. I think Tennessee blows Ohio State out. Not really a big Ohio State fan. I'm not a big Tennessee fan either, but I mean, I feel like Dylan Sampson for Tennessee could either run all over Ohio State or Nico's gonna go off with one of his receivers on the team. I mean, I don't like Ohio State. I mean, you played Oregon. I understand you lost. That was one of your losses, and your second loss was against the Michigan team that's a rival. But like those are games you have to win to help your team with what I think if you would have won that game, you probably would have had a bye week or something going into the playoffs. But you lost to your rival Michigan. I think they haven't beat them in what 4 or 5 years. It's pretty sad, not gonna lie. Same thing could go for North Carolina, but I'm not gonna talk about that. Um, then you got SMU and Penn State. I think that's gonna be where the first upset comes across. I think Penn State's gonna lose SMU. I don't think Drew Allar for Penn State's gonna lead lead them against SMU. I think SMU is a very underdog team. There are two teams that they lost to this year were Clemson in the ACC championship and then BYU earlier on in the season. So I don't think SMU is going to lose this game, but that's just what I think. I'm not 100% sure what's going to go down on that one. Um, but I don't really know much about SMU at all. I mean, I know they just joined the ACC this year, so they had to play Clemson. But at the same time, I just don't think Penn State. I don't think they can win big enough games like this to end up going into the next round. And I don't know if, from what the bracket that I'm saying, if they were to win, they would play Boise State. But I'll get deeper into that. And then you got Indiana versus Notre Dame. I think that's the first game that comes on tomorrow on Friday. So I don't know how I feel about that. I honestly think Indiana might win, but I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. I don't know. That one's gonna be a tough one because I don't think both of those teams are any good in my opinion. Notre Dame's lost one game, and that's against NIU, Northern Illinois. Indiana's lost one game, and that's against Ohio State. But I mean, both of them had easy schedules. I wouldn't say really easy. I mean, Notre Dame went against Texas A&M, went to Texas A&M and beat them. Um, Indiana really has played easy teams all year round. Not gonna lie, but I think those two. I don't. It depends on how both of their quarterbacks play. If Riley Leonard plays good, and whoever Indiana quarterback, I don't know his name. My bad on that one. But I would probably, if I had to choose, I want to go with the upset here. I want to go with Indiana. I just want people to stop saying that they're that bad. I mean, they're not that good, but they're not bad. But I don't know how the bracket will look, but I'm just gonna go with the bracket how it looks on here. So if Texas Texas beats Clemson, they play Arizona State. I honestly think Arizona State will lose that game. They're good, but they're not beating Texas good. Arizona State has that really good running back that was what I think fifth in Heisman or something like that, but he's pretty good. But I don't think he has the I don't think they have enough people to stop Texas defense, or I don't think they'll be able to stop Texas's offense. But you never know, because I mean they did beat Iowa State, but Iowa State's not beating Texas either. So, um, then you have Tennessee and Ohio State, and if that goes against Oregon, Oregon's gonna probably clean whoever they play in that game. Like I said, if I said Tennessee wins that game, I think that would be a that would be a closer game than what it would be with Ohio State, even though they did play earlier on in the season. But I think Tennessee just has a pretty decent team. But I think Oregon's still going to win. Don't get me wrong. With Dylan Gabriel, Tez Johnson, Evan Stewart, all of them, and then I think his name's like Ferguson, their tight end, pretty good. And their defense is pretty good as well. I got probably Oregon beating Tennessee. That's pretty good one. And then Fiesta Bowl, you got I said it's SMU versus Boise State. I got Boise State. It depends. All I say is it depends on how Ashton Genty plays in those games. If Ashton Genty plays good, then they'll most likely win the game. But if he's not playing that great, not getting 100 or more yards, it's going to be a very strong, very weak game for Boise State, and it's just going to depend on how they play. So I don't know, but I feel like it depends. Like I said, if Ashton Genty plays good, they win. If he doesn't play as good, they're losing. That's just how I feel. And then you have Indiana and Georgia. I said I would think Georgia. I don't know. Georgia's gonna win that easily. I don't know if Carson Beck's playing or not. If he's not, then I still think they're gonna win because their defense is pretty good, even though most of the people in the transfer portal are leaving. I mean, that's stupid. Don't. Why do we have a transfer portal? Stay loyal to your team. I mean, you say you want to commit. Why you commit there in the first place? Is it because of the money? Probably. Most of the people that are going into free agency now are looking for money opportunities more than just playing for a college team. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the college football game, but if they had to take NIL away, I wouldn't be against it, in my opinion. I mean, make people stay. If they don't commit to you at first and then they enter transfer portal, there has to be an actual reason why they're actually leaving the transfer portal. Let's say if Arch Manning were to leave Texas, you have Arch Manning as our quarterback, and he decides he wants to transfer. I could understand Arch Manning for wanting to transfer because Quinn Ewers wants to stay for another year or two. Why would you stay there to ruin your young self trying to show what you can do, things of that nature? Like Malik Murphy did. He knew that Arch Manning was going to be at Texas, their new quarterback, but then he went to Duke and he balled out. But then now he's transferring again, and now he's going to Oregon State. It just doesn't feel right. That just is all money opportunities at this point, I guess. Starting to turn into the NFL. I don't like how college football is starting to look, but that's just my opinion. Um, Oregon State has to play App next year, bruh, at home. I don't know if that's gonna win. I don't even know who our quarterback's gonna be next year. Hopefully App can beat Oregon State at home. If so, that'll be a really good start of the season for us. But and then, like I said, Oregon versus Texas. That's gonna be a really good game. I would probably say Oregon will win that because I don't know. Texas is good, but I remember last year they lost to Washington in the semifinals, and it was a really close game all the way to the end. But then Quinn Ewers started to fumble hard against them. Not really fumble, but like start to mess up and things like that. I just don't think Oregon's gonna lose that type of game, in my opinion. But we'll see. I'm not sure, but I think it'll be a pretty decent game. And then I said, I think we have what SMU and or Boise State and Georgia. I mean, Georgia gonna probably dog walk Boise State, honestly. And if they play them, Georgia's defense is gonna keep up with Genty. And if not, I don't think their passing game's gonna be any better against Georgia's defense. I just don't think that's gonna work. So I probably go with Georgia on that. So it's back to my normal thing: Georgia versus Oregon. I don't know who's going to be the quarterback. If their backup quarterback for Georgia's in that game, Oregon's going to win, obviously. But if not Carson Beck's in, I feel like it's going to be closer. But I don't think that Oregon will beat Georgia. I just don't think Georgia will lose to Oregon at all. I mean, Kirby Smart's a really good coach. Don't get me wrong, Dan Lanning is a pretty good coach too, but he's just not Kirby Smart yet. He hasn't showed anything. But I mean, same time, it depends on who's the quarterback. If the backup quarterback's in, I got Oregon winning. But if Carson Beck's in there, I don't think that Oregon's gonna win that game. It's just my opinion on how that's gonna end. Well, I guess this will be the end of my. Well, I guess I'll talk more a little bit. I feel like I've heard a lot about North Carolina. I guess that's like my second team. I guess North Carolina. I don't believe with Bill Belichick. I don't think no shot first year they go undefeated, go into the championship, or they say they play for champions. It takes time. Even if you have a new head coach, even if you're a good head coach, it takes time. Like I mean, How many years did it take Nick Saban at Alabama to get organized and get into the winning level? It takes time. It's not going to happen right away. Never happens right away unless if you can happen right away, then I must be wrong. But I'm just telling you, I don't know. It's crazy to me if you think it's going to happen overnight or over 1 year. It just doesn't work with me like that. Um, I guess that'll be it for college football. Probably I just talk about college football in this one, and I'll talk about NFL next week probably. So I guess this is the end of this one. Thanks for listening.